This is Michael Popok, Legal AF. We got a breaking development in the Judge Chutkan DC election interference case against Donald Trump on the immunity issue. Just in the last day, Judge Chutkan has filed in the public record, or had filed in the public record, the 165 pages with some bare redaction of people's names of the presentation of the evidence that Jack Smith has done to the judge in order to prove and carry the burden that the superseding indictment against Donald Trump survived the Supreme Court's immunity decision. It was a brief and a motion for immunity determination. It was required by the ruling by the United States Supreme Court asking that Jack Smith do exactly this, and that Judge Chutkan review all of the evidence before trial to make these initial determinations. Well, of course, that freaked out Donald Trump. And the way the original briefing schedule was scheduled, there'd be two briefs by the government, one brief by Donald Trump, all before the election. So Donald Trump asked for a couple of things recently, and I reported on it. He wanted as many pages as Jack Smith got. Jack Smith got 180 pages. He wanted 180 pages. And I said in an earlier hot take, that'd be fair, that I expected that maybe she'd even give him more pages. But he also asked for a final brief. He wanted to have the last word, Donald Trump, in the case, because the way it was arranged on September 5th on the immunity decision, he would not get the final word. It would have been the government's original brief that we now got our hands on, and we've talked about. I've done 4 passes through the 165 pages already. And then there'd be a middle brief by Donald Trump, which would have been before the election. And then there'd be a final brief by the government on the 29th of October. But now Judge Chutkan has said, and I predicted, that she would not be concerned about the trial calendar. She said the election calendar. She said her trial is not going to be impacted by the election calendar. That Donald Trump's just an ordinary criminal defendant facing 4 felony counts in front of her. And that's what she just did. She gave Donald Trump the additional pages, but she also gave him an additional brief, and she pushed off the government's brief, the next brief, and his brief, Donald Trump's brief, until after the election. Now, there's still one big major lift here by the Department of Justice that we're going to get our hands on before the election. And I think that's something that the judge was sensitive to, that in trying to keep the scales of justice on either side in equipoise, equally balanced, she needed to lean a little bit over on Donald Trump's side at the moment and give him the 180 pages and give him another brief, and then have 4 equally balanced briefs, have the bulk of them come before the election, including this next piece I'm going to tell you about, and then the rest after the election. I think that's a good, fair, Solomonic sort of compromise, judicious, sober, somebody who's properly adult in the room administering justice. I'm fine with all of it. I thought of another way. I thought she'd give Donald Trump 200 pages or even 220 pages, give him more than he asked for, but only give it to him in one brief. I've had that happen to me in courts. So I thought she'd go that way. There is one big, massive filing that's going to be coming from the Department of Justice. I think it's already been filed, but it's going to be released to the public at the rate that Judge Chutkan makes decisions, I think around the 14th, 15th of October. And it's about 200 or 300 pages of additional material, the supporting evidence, witness statements and summaries and pieces of evidence and transcripts that are coming in with 30 pages of single-space footnotes to support all the evidence that is in this brief. It is the appendix to the brief. The judge has it. Trump's making recommendations about how to redact it or put black tape on it, and then she's going to release it to the public 14th, 15th, 16th of October. We're going to have that 300 pages to dive into, to get to the bottom of, and to report on the MeidasTouch network and on our new Legal AF MTN YouTube channel. Now, here's the order, and I'll read it to you. It's relatively short. It's what we call a minute order. It's a little tiny, it's just a minute. It's on the docket, the electronic docket used by the court. It's not a formal, longer order. Sometimes judges do a minute order, and then they have a longer decision or order underneath it, but not when it comes to briefing and pages. That's just done by minute order. Here's the minute order by Judge Chutkan that we've just literally received in the last hour. Minute order as to Donald J. Trump. Defendant's motion to extend the page limits in time to respond to government's motion for immunity determination and for leave to file a surreply, S-U-R reply, it's an additional piece of paper at the end to get the final word, is hereby granted in part and denied in part. The court's order is modified. That's her order from September the 5th. Trump's combined response and renewed motion to dismiss based on presidential immunity. So she's letting him re-argue a motion to dismiss on immunity and combine it in a combined filing is now due on November the 7th, 2 days after the election, and may include up to 180 pages. So you got your 180 pages. You got it after the election, although I don't know why now him, Donald Trump, Jack Smith, having filed his first and having another brief and appendix filed before the election, why Donald Trump wouldn't want to have his day in court and let the American people know the truth. We know the answer. He doesn't have a response, really, to Jack Smith's evidence-laden presentation, a mini trial in a box. This podcast is sponsored by Delete Me. Have you or someone you know been a victim of identity theft? Harassed, stalked, doxxed? I recently changed banks and opened new accounts, only to quickly have bad people use that opportunity to try to hack into my online banking profile. And with all my hot takes and podcast episodes every week, my privacy and that of my family's remains a priority. Ever wonder how much of your personal data is out there on the internet for anyone to see? More than you think. Your name, contact info, social security number, and home address, even information about your family members, all being compiled by data brokers and sold online. Data brokers make a profit off of your data. Your data is a commodity. Anyone on the web can buy your private details. This can lead to identity theft and phishing. As a person who exists publicly, especially as someone who shares my legal and political opinions online, I am hyper aware of safety and security. And it's easier than ever to find personal information about people online. All this data hanging out on the internet can have actual consequences in the real world. Over the last decade, the U.S. has witnessed steady growth in politically motivated, threatening online behavior, peaking around election cycles. Delete Me and its research shows that the volume of personal data on individuals available online has tripled between 2019 and 2023 to an average of over 525 pieces of personal info per person available free or for as little as $5 per profile. You cannot always control whether you are a target, but you can make it harder for politically motivated threat actors to escalate threats by taking a proactive approach to the security of your personal information. That's why I personally recommend Delete Me. Delete Me is a subscription service that removes your personal info from hundreds of data brokers. Sign up and provide Delete Me with exactly what information you want deleted, and their experts take it from there. Delete Me sends you regular personalized privacy reports showing what info they found, where they found it, and what they removed. Delete Me isn't just a one-time service. Delete Me is always working for you, constantly monitoring and removing the personal information you don't want on the internet. To put it simply, Delete Me does all the hard work of wiping your and your family's personal information from data broker websites. Take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me. Now at a special discount for our listeners. Today, get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/legalaf and use promo code LegalAF at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/legalAF and enter code LegalAF at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/legalAF, code LegalAF. She also said that the government can then reply and file their opposition to that motion to dismiss. So a dual briefing there on November the 21st. So after the election, of course, but before the inauguration. We don't have to worry about Donald Trump winning and firing the judge or firing the special counsel. And then the defendant, Trump, may file a reply and a surreply if they want to by December the 5th, right? A month and a half, 6 weeks before the inauguration. Signed, Tanya Chutkan. What does it all mean? Let me unpack it quickly. It means, I think, that it was a very good a mature decision by an experienced jurist who knows that the courts are watching. The Supreme Court is watching. The courts of appeal are watching, and she wants to get it right. And I think she found some value buried within Donald Trump's crying and complaining and whining and conspiracy theories about the Department of Justice. She found some merit to the argument that he wants to file a motion to dismiss again, that he should be given an opportunity to have 2 briefs, and that he should have more pages. She was always giving more pages. Even though I thought Donald Trump made a mistake not asking for that earlier, once the 180-page barrier was broken by the prosecutors. Now, they came in at 165, came in a little bit light, but she was going to give him 180 pages. I predicted that a long time ago and many other hot takes here. But I thought she'd sort of combine it into one brief. But what she did is she said, you know what? It looks like Trump does have an ability, or should have an ability under criminal process and procedure and constitutional law to move again, to dismiss the indictment on the new indictment, brand new indictment, just came out after the immunity decision. She wants to preserve Donald Trump's appellate right and the record to have another opportunity to argue again on his behalf as the movement, as the first party. And for that, he needs his double briefing. And so does the government. So at the end, we're going to have 4 total of briefs along with all of these appendix, these supporting materials, which will also end up on the public docket. That's the fight we've been watching closely on MeidasTouch Network and on Legal AF so far. It's the what is going to end up in the public domain. Because we operate our criminal justice system in America, in this constitutional republic, as a public justice system. We don't have secret tribunals. We don't have star chambers. Everything is done in the public, in the open. And the public and the press, First Amendment freedom of the press, have the right to know. And really, it's for the benefit of the accused as well, because the accused has the shadow over them, right? It has this scorn heaped on them just being indicted. And they should have an opportunity through a fast process, speedy trial, to have their day in court and to prove to the American people that they're not the criminals that they've been charged with, that they've been charged as, that they are not criminals, that they're, of course, presumed innocent. Of course, Donald Trump doesn't want to have the opportunity. If he did, he'd say, I want to file my brief faster, Judge. People that want to be exonerated and aren't doing it for political theater, they want to generally file their briefs faster so that the American public has the benefit of their brief if they had anything really compelling to say against this mountain of evidence that's now been presented by Jack Smith to the American people. Like a second Jan 6 report, if you will. But that's not what Donald Trump wants. Delay, delay, delay. The longer he stretches this out, if he can win the election, God help us, really, God help us, then his first order of business, 1201 on January 20th, is to fire the special counsel, fire his office, fire the Department of Justice, and end this case, and order them to end this case, and maybe pardon himself and everybody else. If that doesn't motivate you to vote for the only party here, because we're one party short of a 2-party system, and vote for the Democrats in order to protect our constitutional republic and our rule of law, I don't know what will. So we'll continue to follow. That's what we do. So methodically, with a little bit of joy on Legal AF regularly. New order of the judge. Sometimes we talk internally about, oh crap, my hot take went stale because the judge already ruled, and that's okay. We are serial. We're episodic. We're teaching, right? To our audience, our committed audience. And we have so much to talk about that in consultation with the MeidasTouch Network, we decided let's launch a new channel devoted to law and politics called Legal AF. What else? And we call it Legal AF MTN for MeidasTouch Network. You know, like MS and NBC, Microsoft and NBC. We're Legal AF MTN. And I'll be, I'm the executive producer. I'm the curator of all things there, and find out what 40 million people a month already know, that Legal AF is the home of law and politics like no other, and commentary and analysis that you've come to know and enjoy. Come over there now. We've already got 140,000 subscribers. We're about 2 weeks old. We hope to get to 200,000 by Halloween, but only with your help. You know, we don't have the opportunity to ask a judge to give us more time. We got to do it now. Help us build this pro-democracy network and channel now. Legal AF MTN, free subscribe. So until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF podcast and exclusive content for Legal AF MTN, this is Michael Popok. I'm reporting. In collaboration with the MeidasTouch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.